So there's a couple problems with my brand new DR Pro Brush-hog that I've had to work through, both of which might affect yours someday soon, or out of the crate like mine. Now don't get me wrong, I love this machine. My 26 Pro is a no-joke piece of hardware. Even operating incorrectly, this thing is a beast, and not much has stopped it from devouring everything I've thrown at it. But the first problem is that Briggs & Stratton oil drain hose is a really dumb design for a machine that will see some pretty harsh conditions. Something caught on my hose at least 4 times, pulling that little yellow clip off the engine housing, until something finally finished off that yellow cap, yanking it from the hose when I was over a quarter-mile back on my property. I noticed an oil sheen on the brush leaves next to me, so I shut it down immediately, and I never did find that yellow clip. I had to tie wrap that oil hose up and kink it because there's actually a little bit of pressure behind the oil. That oil hose is just dumb for something you might use once a year on a machine that's constantly snagged by brush. Tie wrap that oil hose down to the starter motor. It's okay to kink the hose as it's a pressure type cap that's normally on there anyway. But now for the real problem.
That's just trying to drive all on its own. I can try to stop it. It takes a lot of energy to stop it. And it'll still try to walk away, and then watch. Here's how loose the handle is. Okay, it's not even touching. Now watch, as soon as I engage it, it changes speed. You see that? So it is working. And it is totally loose. It is so loose that it wants to come out, but this thing wants to drive all by itself. Bye!
The problem is it's nearly impossible to shift because the transmission's always trying to drive, and eventually the shift cables fail. DR-Power was really good about replacing the cables and the drive belt, and they recommended that I loosen the transmission mounting bolts at every single one of them to try to loosen up that drive belt, but none of their recommendations helped. The second belt they sent me was exactly the same size as the original, and it made no difference. After several hours of trying the recommendations and taking apart everything I could to try to free up that drive belt, including greasing the drive belt slightly, which is kind of crazy, I gave up, and I ended up ordering a couple slightly longer belts from Amazon. 1 inch longer belt ended up solving all of the issues and giving me the adjustability in that drive cable, and now the transmission shifts fairly easily and I can fully engage the drive. Ultimately, that drive belt must be fully loose in that drive pulley to work properly.